Humans aren't born out of laying around on their asses. We've been born out of conquering a world. We're the dominant species. We built all this. We're powerful, and we're beautiful, and we're ready to build the next level of civilization in God's plan. But you must stop bowing to those who want to make you a victim. You must become the victor. If you love God and you want to build a pro-human future, then you are an enemy of the New World Order and Satanism. They want us shut down because we have the Spirit. I'm jacked into the source. I know the secret, and I want to see you empowered. But you have to believe in yourself first. This is the truth, and everyone knows it.
Ladies and gentlemen, strap in because we are wading into a very dark topic today. And that is yet another school board meeting where a mother comes to articulate her frustration at the school enforcing pure satanic evil and degeneracy. And there's no arguing against this. There's no trying to, well, actually, no. This is blatant evil. Everyone with a soul and a brain and a pulse can look at this and tell you immediately that it's wrong. So for those who don't know, we're going to watch this video from Asmongold where he's reacting to a school board meeting where a mother comes and articulates that the school forced her daughter and her classmates to disrobe and get in uniform in front of a biological male in the name of progress and tolerance and quote-unquote trans rights. The teachers, according to the testimony from this woman here, were in the room. So these three teachers forced the girls to disrobe and get into uniform for PE in front of this biological male. In the name of tolerance, in the name of progress, in the name of acceptance, it is evil. The people who were doing this should be arrested immediately. They should be punished in the harshest possible way that we have within the law to cover something like this. I'm not talking about the death penalty. I'm saying that there are things that we can do in accordance with the law to punish behavior like this to make it a deterrent. Obviously, taking away their pension, firing them from their job, 15 to 20 years in prison, minimum, no possibility of parole. I think that there should be heavy judicial consequences for this. I'm not talking about vigilantism. I'm talking about the law should have within its books something to cover this. Because these girls are not safe. They are open to predators, groomers, bad actors, Karens, Democrat malcontents, all because these people in positions of authority think that it is beneficial to society for whatever reason to pander to a mental illness, to give in to degeneracy, and to not allow people to vocalize how absolutely unacceptable something like this is. So the reason why I picked Asmongold's video is because Asmongold, as it relates to the LGBT community, has a different opinion than my own. And so I'd like for him to be able to articulate his point of view in this video, and then I'm going to counter that with my point of view. And we are very, very much opposed on this. And by the way, what I want to say from the get-go is that I have two minds on this. One is religious and one is not. From a religious standpoint, all of this is unacceptable. The Bible is not ambiguous about this. God views homosexuality as an abomination. It is an abomination in the eyes of the Lord. So there is no acceptance of LGBTQ within the church. There never can be, there never should be. Any one of these false pastors that are wearing these rainbow flags and affirming this stuff, these people are not of the faith. These people are not Christians. They are promoting earthly, degenerate desires for their own personal insecurities, inferiorities, and complexes. It has nothing to do with the faith. They are wrapping themselves in the faith in order to erode trust in God, in Jesus, and to further undermine it, and for their own personal need for attention and validation. That's one side of it. The other side is I can use my brain and I can look at the statistics, I can look at the trend of events, I can look at things going on in the world and make a determination. Some people, for the sake of looking good or sounding good, have come to a different determination, and I'm going to let them articulate their determination, and I'm going to let you know mine. So without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, let's jump into this video. I think this is important to talk about. I think this is important to cover because this is a big problem. And I will, when the time is right, express why I'm frustrated at Asmongold when it comes to a topic like this.
My name is Nicole Georges, and I'm here to demand that the locker rooms and bathrooms at District 109 be designated as biological male and biological female, as there already is a gender-neutral option. The girls want their locker rooms and bathrooms back. They want their privacy back. This is why I'm here tonight. My 13-year-old daughter's well-being and mental health and privacy is at stake. This nightmare
So you're telling me that they have a gender-neutral bathroom, but they're still having them use the gender that they're not like assigned at birth? So you already have? That's crazy.
began on February 5th when my daughter was using the girls' bathroom and was stunned that a biological male student was using it as well. She came home frightened and was extremely upset. I asked her to talk with her teachers and find out more information. She was told by the administration that a student can use the bathroom as well as a female locker room because they now identify as female. I was sent an email to the teachers involved and received a call from Principal Wegley. He verbally reiterated that under Joanna Ford's direction and their legal counsel that the student could use both the locker room and bathroom. I expressed that the school was in clear violation.
Oh, man.
A federal policy. The Trump administration issued an executive order restricting biological males from participating in sports and
You're talking about kids? What? Yeah, these are 13-year-old children.
Female locker rooms. That day, I filed a civil rights complaint on behalf of my daughter with the Department of Justice. It has now been referred to the Department of Education. A federal complaint has been filed with the district to protect the students. The situation went from bad to worse. A few days later, the male student was present in the girls' locker room. Feeling violated, the girls made the choice to not change into their PE clothes with a biological male student present.
Yeah,
the next
smart.
day, Assistant Principal Kathy Van Treese pulled the girls into their office, questioning them. The same day, Assistant Superintendent
Based, by the way.
Yeah, I agree.
Joanna Ford, Kathy Van Treese, and multiple teachers all came into the girls' locker room, making them change into uniform.
Now, in my opinion, if this happened, and we don't know whether this is her accounting of it, we're not sure that this happened. But if it did happen, what do I always say? If you want a behavior to stop, you have to hold people accountable.
True.
Find out who the people are that made the girls do that, and then hold them personally, criminally accountable for sex crimes.
Mm-hmm.
This will stop overnight. This is actually such an easy problem to solve, and I don't know why the Justice Department doesn't do that. This is radical, extreme.
Why doesn't the Justice Department do that? Well, this is in Illinois, And they're run by an extremely progressive Democrat government. That's why. This should be a no-brainer, but apparently it isn't. And for the federal government to get involved, it actually requires more. They would have to cross state lines. It'd have to become a federal issue. But they're not prosecuting this stuff because they're too busy affirming it.
Behavior that's beyond any normal comprehension. This is forcing like preteen girls to dress out in front of male students. Mm-hmm. There's just literally that's disgusting.
Yeah.
Teen? Well, if she's 13,
disgusting is a word for it. Evil is the word I would use. It's evil. It is biblical evil. That you would I mean, I could go on and on and on about this one point. But I think that people need to understand, and you can disagree with me on this, but a lot of this stuff is because we've gotten away from shaming people and punishing people for crimes and things that are wrong. We've gotten away from that. We've become comfortable with crime as long as we don't offend, as long as we don't hurt somebody's feelings. I think that's wrong. I think the Bible is the perfect book to deal with a lot of these situations because it's unambiguous and it's clear that there are consequences for your actions. And it also gives you a guidebook on how to live a fulfilled and meaningful life that leaves you happy in the end. People have abandoned it in favor of this. This is their enlightenment. Understand, this is the atheistic, I'm beyond all that barbarism of the past. We've moved on, from our ancestors. This is their enlightenment. Keep that in mind. These people in Illinois, these Democrats, these leftists, these progressives, this is their utopia, where you can force preteen girls at school to undress in front of a biological male because they think it is the morally correct position on the moral hierarchy. They think, well, this trans person, their rights, their individual rights, supersede the rights of this entire class and this entire group of girls. They should be forced to humiliate themselves and go through this ritual because this one person, well, we want to be seen as supporting this person, so we're going to put them above the rest of these people. This is a sick, evil, twisted, depraved mindset that should be punished. In the harshest and strictest terms.
Then she's probably in middle school. And if she's in middle school, that means it's probably 11, 12, and 13 and 14.
This went on all week with the addition of Ginger Laugerman. My daughter
So wait a second.
all came into the girls' locker room, making them change into uniform. This went on all week with the addition of Ginger Laugerman. My daughter refused to take part in having her privacy being violated. How dare they?
Yeah.
She ran out and called for me for help. Principal Wegley was offering my daughter a new PE class. The answer was no. She is not changing for the remainder of the year, and she is not changing into another class. The girls just want their private.
Well, that's not a solution, because what if everybody wanted that to happen? Like, because if the solution is to have the people that aren't okay with it change into another class, well, then what happens when nobody else is okay with it? Then you only have the one class for this one person. You can't use that as a logical policy.
Privacy, and they want their locker room
By the way, like based kid, actually
Right.
like standing up for themselves.
Yeah, that's awesome.
back. There are gender neutral options. This is my daughter's story and the story of many other young girls who have been forced at the difficult age.
And I think this is another big component to it that matters a lot, is that if you have gender neutral bathrooms, the only argument that I think has any water is that just from a functional perspective, they have to go into one place or another, so they have to go here, right? But that's not the case. They have a gender neutral bathroom, so they should just go there. The solution is literally right in front of them, and they're choosing not to go with this solution.
Well, he's correct, of course, in this particular, in this particular setup. However, what he's missing is that these people are in a cult, and they actually believe, insane as it is, that if this boy says that he's a girl, then he's a girl. That's how far gone these people are. So, from their worldview, Asman, you have to understand this. From their worldview, you can use the general neutral bathroom, but if you deny them the ability to use the girls' bathroom, you're admitting that they're not a girl. That's from their perspective. That's their worldview. That's how they're looking at it. They're looking at it, oh, okay, well, if we say that this person who is a male, LARPing and pretending and delusionally thinking that they're a woman, if we tell them that they can't use the girls' bathroom, then we're going to look bad. We're going to be perceived as bigoted. I want you to keep in mind, these demonic, degenerate, subhuman, leftist, retard freaks are more comfortable with a group of underage girls being forced to undress in front of their teachers and this biological man. They are more morally comfortable with that than simply telling this biological boy to use the general neutral bathroom. I want you to understand that. That's the level that these people operate at, and that's why for years, myself and others have been articulating this over and over. That this is not an individual, isolated, small, irrelevant issue that's overblown for the sake of politics. Donald Trump is just using this issue because it's a no-brainer. It's a no-brainer, but it's a big deal. And that is one of my main issues with Asmongold, because myself and other people have been talking about this for years, and people like Asmongold have said, it's not that big of a deal. It's a minor. I mean, how many people really has this happened to? It's been talked about all over the country. The school board meetings where parents are coming in and sharing stories like this and then being shamed for it. And Asmongold, his response is, well, it's not that big of a deal. It doesn't happen much. And then he'll react to story after story after story after story. The furries in the classroom where the principals are affirming it. Hey, if the furry bites your ankle during class, you got to just take it. Asman will react to it. And then his brain will compartmentalize it and say, well, we can't really look at the pattern here. Even though humans are pattern recognition machines, and it should be obvious, it's not really that big a deal. It's, those individual people should be punished. This is a cult of fanatical, degenerate people, and it isn't just a few of them. This isn't the minority of the trans community. This is the majority of the trans community. And this is where Asmongold and I disagree. There is no doubt that there are a few decent, cool trans people. The majority of them are people like Keffels. People who are degenerate, mentally ill, morally reprehensible. That's my position on it. Because every time I see anything about trans, online. It's the Hogwarts Legacy situation. And before you've got a bunch of white knights running in and saying, well, no, those weren't trans people. No, they were. A lot of them. There are also people externally. There's no doubt. There are people externally. But there is no coordinated trans movement to push back on it. By the way, great comedian Dave Chappelle. He talked about his trans friend, Daphne, who sounded like a really, really great person, one of the good trans people. The trans community bullied his friend, who was trans, into committing suicide. Yeah, over the course of a weekend. Because his trans friend stood up for him. And they bullied this person so viciously that they ended their life. The trans community did that. Dave Chappelle did it in a stand-up. I do not buy for a second that, there's just a few bad actors. My position is this, that transgenderism, this entire thing, the sex aspect of it towards kids should be treated as a crime, but underlying all of it, it should be treated as a mental illness and it should not be confirmed at all. I know some people will disagree with that vehemently. They'll say, no, I don't agree with that. But my position is no tolerance, zero tolerance for this. None. I have the same tolerance for transgenderism at this point that I do for mobile lobotomies. I'm against mobile lobotomies. I don't think that you should be able to pull up a van and go, well, my husband's acting kind of funny. Maybe give him a mobile lobotomy. I don't think that should be allowed. I think that should be illegal. I think this should be illegal. I think the data on this is clear. We've seen continuously that this does real world harm. And unlike Moist Critical, not only do I think that this should be illegal for people over the age of 9, for those who don't know what I'm talking about, I'll bring it up very briefly. I have no problem doing so. Moist Critical got into a debate with Sneeko and actually lost in one of the most humiliating debate spectacles I've ever seen. Because while Sneeko should have lost that debate handily, it shouldn't have even been a contest because Sneeko was arguing against the age of consent. Not really sure how you lose that debate. But Moist Critical said, hey guys, Moist Critical here. Yeah, I agree with Sneeko's premise that a 9-year-old should be able to transition. A 9-year-old should be able to agree to chemically and physically castrate themselves, sterilizing themselves in the name of progress and transgenderism. Yeah, so Moist Critical shit the bed in a way that I didn't know was possible. And that is his position. He since has come out to try to shame people who heard what he said. He said, that's not what I said. Because Moist Critical is like Hassan in the way that he says things that are retarded and irredeemable and evil and stupid. And then instead of taking accountability, reflecting on what he said that was wrong, he tries to shame people who heard what they heard. And say, no, it's you that's wrong. But yeah, no, I think that transgenderism, I think that pipeline to the pharmaceutical and surgical machine should be cut off completely. That's my personal belief. I think at the age of 18, if you're an adult, if you want to do that, I don't think it should be encouraged. I think societally it should be shamed. It shouldn't be affirmed. But if you really want to do it at the age of 18, you can do it. Same thing with smoking. If you want to smoke at the age of 18, you can. But it's societally shamed. There's more shame around smoking than there is about castrating yourself and irreversibly altering everything about you. Crazy. Absolutely crazy. Anyway.
To do something they know and most adults know is wrong. Do the right thing, Deerfield, and give these girls their locker room and bathrooms back. Allowing biological males to access girls' locker rooms sets a dangerous precedent that erodes the very foundation of female privacy and safety. By making this decision, the school board is not only disregarding the concerns of young female students and making their families, but also establishing a legal and policy.
By the way, this is a topic that people choose to vote off of. So it doesn't matter what your policy is on Israel or Palestine or Ukraine or anything like that. If you're telling parents that their teen daughter has to dress out in front of a man, they're not voting for you. That's it. That's the end of the line.
Well, that's true. However, unfortunately, you've got some of the freaks in the gallery back here who are voting age, who don't have kids, who are more than willing to vote your parental rights away from you. Which is why it's more important than ever to make it abundantly clear how toxic these issues are, and to make them so unpopular that anyone espousing them is shamed in a way that is, we're talking like biblical levels of shaming. Like, you should not be able, I believe, to openly promote being a MAP or grooming kids or trans youth. I think that any of that should be a mark of shame if you come out in favor of that. That's my personal belief. A big mark of shame.
Framework that will make it increasingly difficult to protect the integrity of female-only spaces in the future.
And I think that they should keep pushing this as much as they can. And like Trump was actually right about this, about bringing up these different issues, like right before the midterms and the new elections, because anybody who is on board with this or even slightly like apologetic about it is immediately disqualifying themselves from office.
True.
This is, in my opinion, a single issue voter thing. If you tolerate this even 1%, I think that you are disqualifying yourself from being voted for by the majority of the population.
That's the way that it should be, but unfortunately, there's a large contingent of communists and degenerates and so-called enlightened atheistic progressives that will vote for people that affirm this bullshit. Now, it's not going to win them the presidency, but there are definitely certain enclaves of this country that affirm this sort of filth. And they celebrate it, and they champion it, and they think that they're on the right side of history with this, and they're not. They could not be more wrong. They're on the wrong side of any moral standard that has even the most basic sense of good and evil. What these people stand for, what they believe, what they advocate is pure, unadulterated evil. And I don't think that people should ever allow them to forget it. I think it should be a stain on your reputation for the rest of your life if you come out in promoting this obvious harm to kids. That's my personal opinion.
That's it. No sympathy? Yeah, exactly. What did the Democrat person say in the video? Republicans are obsessed with identity.
Y'all are following.
So before we get into this, I don't believe in trigger warnings. But this person bothers me. Everything about them bothers me. The way they look, the way they dress, the way they talk, the casual nature with which they just talk about their evil, their profane, degenerate, subhuman ideology. Everything about them just irritates me. You know that thing about, that triggering that fight or flight instinct? This person, in the case of, argumentation and debate and conversation, triggers my fight complex. Everything about this person is wrong. Everything about this person and the way they present themselves, how they talk, what they say, their condescending nature despite having earned none of it, their casual disregard of parental rights, the way they just ooze. It bothers me. It does. It bothers me a great deal.
The law, which is fantastic.
You've been following the
is
law.
Charlie Friedman. My pronouns are they, he. I am a trans person. I am the parent of a trans middle schooler. I am.
If you have a trans middle schooler, you should be arrested, and that child should be taken from you, and they should have that child evaluated for mental or physical abuse. This is not a thing that just happens. And I say the same thing for celebrities when, oh, both of my daughters are trans. No, they're not. You are grooming that child. You should be in jail for the rest of your life. And those children should go on to be part of a better home than you could ever provide. You are trying to use your children as props for yourself. I can't think of anything more disgusting and grotesque. And yeah, I absolutely think that that should be a criminal charge and the children should be taken from these people. 100%. 100%. You are dooming this person to a life of misery and degeneracy for your own ego and your own satisfaction, and so that you can show them off to your progressive friends. Disgusting.
I'm also the director of operations for Trans Up Front. It's a nonprofit organization fighting for trans rights. We partner with over 30 major organizations, including the ACLU, Lambda Legal, HRC.
It's really shocking that left-wing people like pay any credibility to this at all. About like basically child grooming. Like, and I guess I like, when I see a person and they're trans and their kid that's like prepubescent is also trans, I assume that they got groomed to be trans.
Correct.
I do. I assume that they got raised that way, and it's the same thing as the other video. And I'm sure that there are cases where that's not true. But I think that there's a lot of them where it is true.
Etc. We have a protest coming up for trans rights on March 30th, 1 p.m., Federal Plaza. We have a, and I would like to take a moment to talk about Illinois. We're all very lucky to live in a state that protects everyone here. Specific to today, Executive Order 2019-11, which my kid was standing next to Pritzker when he signed. Yes,
and by the way, there are already other permutations of this that exist. Things like Munchausen by proxy. And it's very common that stuff like this happens. So the idea that parents would not indoctrinate their kids in order to have some sort of worldview or behavior.
Oh, absolutely they would. Absolutely they would.
From the governor. And in that order, it's called Strengthening Our Commitment to Affirming and Inclusive Schools, which protects trans, non-binary, and gender non-conforming students from the type of bullying that this parent represents.
So this freak, this abomination of humanity, this disgusting parasitic subhuman groomer, and not even groomer adjacent, this actual groomer that groomed their own kid to be part of this cult, is outright calling out this parent for not being okay with a biological male watching their daughter change. That's where we're at. I'll just tell you. And some people may say, oh, you're, of course, a tactical Templar, you're an authoritarian. I think this person should be investigated, and I think they should ultimately be thrown in jail. I do. Straight to jail. Straight to jail. Maybe the Ecuadorian jail. Maybe we can send them with Tren de Aragua. Tren de Aragua. Yeah, there's some pretty tough hombres. But I think that what these people espouse, this isn't a difference of ideas. I want to put that to bed. Some people will use the free speech argument. This isn't free speech. This is incitement. as far as I'm concerned. That's my opinion. You had girls that were forced to change in front of a group of other teachers and a biological male student. They didn't feel comfortable doing this. This was against their will. They were forced to do it. And this person comes up and says, no, that's perfectly fine. I have no problem punishing people that harm kids, that promote this sort of deviancy and degeneracy. And I think that it should be that our society finally recognizes that it is not a moral good to allow these people to do this to innocent kids and innocent people and to promote this. It is not a good to allow this to continue. This is one of the most obvious, basic things I've ever seen. This person is an activist. I mean, they basically said, oh, my trans kid was standing right behind the governor of Illinois when he signed this, thing to combat evil Orange Man's executive order. I think that it should be, no matter who you are, whether you're an activist judge, whether you're a governor, whether you're some twink-looking retard like this person, I think that if you promote this stuff, that is not just you talking about, well, I think of this about trans. If you are defending and actively promoting what this person is promoting, and you're trying to downplay it and shame parents for this, and say that no, this biological male should be able to change and watch other people change in front of him that are not comfortable, I think that that should be on a sex crime registry. This person should be arrested and their kid should be taken from him. Is that a little too far? I don't think so. I actually don't think it's very far at all. I think it's incredibly reasonable, given what's at stake, given what we're dealing with here. My position is different than most people because I do not believe that affirming the LGBTQ, especially the T's, in any regard is the morally correct position. I don't think it is the right thing to do in any regard, not from a humanitarian standpoint, not from a religious standpoint, not from a logical standpoint. This is the de-enlightenment era that we're living in. This is the Dark Ages. We have more information at our fingertips than we've ever had, and yet people are dumber than they've ever been. It is incredible to me that we have people that walk up on stage and feel comfortable saying this in public. Now, I'm not an advocate for violence at all. I am against it because I don't think it leads to anything productive. But I think that the law should be there to protect people from people like this. And so my actual belief is that people like this should be arrested because what they're doing should be a crime. This is an incitement to try to normalize grooming, try to normalize this sort of disgusting and degenerate behavior. I think that it should be a crime. And I think that it should be a crime that we punish severely in order to deter people from going down this route. In order to deter people from thinking that it's okay to walk in front of a microphone at a school board meeting and say, I am pro forcing young girls to undress in front of their teachers and in front of a biological male.
They're being bullied now. That's right. And this is the entire, you have to understand that the entire worldview of these people is completely based around victimhood. It's based around victimhood and the ability to take on the mantle of the victim and then justify bad actions as a result of that. I hate these people.
Based.
I think that these people do a tremendous disservice to the trans community, and the inclusion and the fixation on trying to indoctrinate and make trans issues accessible to and relevant to minors is such an unpopular issue that I think they are doing irreparable damage to the trans community, and they will cause people to straight up hate trans people.
I disagree completely. In fact, I think this is the trans community. I don't think that, Asman, I don't think you're in any position, given the evidence that we've seen over the last 10 years, to make the case that these people are a minority of the trans community that are vocal, that are promoting this stuff. This person felt comfortable walking onto the podium, in front of the podium. And this person, by the way, because I watched the original video, this person is clapped for. They clap for this person. All the people with the rainbow flags, the pride stuff, all the people here, this retard in the back that's smiling and laughing, all these people affirm this. So, Asman, no, I understand that for you it's uncomfortable because you're left wing. All right, let's just say you're left wing. You want to support LGBTQ so bad. The problem is, LGBTQ is a disgusting, degenerate, abnormal group that professes, proclaims, and advocates the worst sort of anti-human, just pro-hedonism, pro-debauchery, anti-normalcy shit every time they run their mouth. Every time they talk or have a gathering, it's like the Pride Parade. Asman, you are never going to convince anyone that these people are a minority of the LGBT community, because every time there's a Pride Parade, every time there's a drag story hour, all of it is the most disgusting filth humanly imaginable. It is absolutely profane. I'm not even talking about this from my religious point of view. I'm talking about this as an American, as a human being. I used to live near there, Asmongold. I used to live near there. I used to live in the Bay Area. Those pride parades are the most disgusting. They're the most disgusting thing you can imagine. And people bringing their kids, and there are men grinding on fire trucks and wearing assless chaps with their junk in ya, walking around in the street, parading their degeneracy and their filth and their subhuman behavior in front of kids. They don't care. They don't give two shits. In fact, some of them like it a little bit more. Hey, they're kids. This is the LGBT community, and it always has been. But people have been psyoped and censored into coming up with this milquetoast position that no, the LGBT community is normal. It's normal just like heterosexuality is normal. And there's just a couple bad actors. No, it's the entire group. It is the entire coordinated community apparatus, always and every time. I have never once, and I mean this, as somebody who is from an area where this was prominent. I've been to UC Berkeley. I've been to UC Davis. And trust me, some of that left-wing stuff, back when I was in college, was fine. You see a couple of chicks walking around the campus naked, Hey, back then I'm like, oh, hey, whatever. They'd just be walking around naked. But at the bare minimum, they weren't having relations on the lawn. I never got that bad. It just was a more promiscuous thing. These people have gone beyond that. These people have gone beyond the more just hippie, liberal, sort of sentiment to something that is absolutely indefensible and profoundly evil. And I got to tell you, I've had enough. I don't think that this position, that it's a small minority of people within this community, I don't think that's true. I don't think that's true because if you look at the gaming industry, if you look at Hollywood, you look at anywhere that LGBT is associated, There is a rot, there's a decay, there's a toxic, disgusting miasma that permeates, and other content creators won't talk about this because they'll lose sponsorship deals, they'll lose brand deals, you know, they'll alienate people, they'll get mad, Twitch will ban them. You know, they don't want to say the truth, but I'll say the truth. It's why some of you tune into my channel. Maybe you don't even agree with me per se, but you know what? The bare minimum, I give you my position as I see it. And as I see it, I don't think that the LGBT community in any way should be affirmed. I don't think in any way it should be treated as though it's normal. I think people should have the courage to point out the fact that more often than not, it's people like this saying things like this than what Asmongold is talking about, which is, there's just a couple people who are bad eggs. Just a couple people who are bad eggs. I don't know how much more of this person I want to watch, but let's give it a go.
And it's already happening. And an underlying, it's common. That's the,
with their gender-related identity and without having
if that's what the law is, then that's what the law is. But I think the real question is, why is the law that way and why isn't it being changed right now? Yeah, so it's a stupid law. I don't know if you guys know this, but all laws are made up. They're not real. You just change the rules. So if there's a rule that's stupid, you get rid of the rule. I feel like that's okay, great. So she found the thing that we should change. Federal law trumps that? I don't know. I'm not a lawyer. But there shouldn't be a state law that even says it in the first place.
Right.
to provide documentation or other proof of gender. Under this act, and it is stated, the discomfort or privacy concerns of other students, teachers, or parents are not valid reasons to deny or limit the
What is this here? Let me listen to that again.
provide documentation or other proof of gender. Under this act, and it is stated, the discomfort or privacy concerns of other students, teachers, or parents are not valid reasons.
So people's discomfort is not valid, but your discomfort is valid. Who decided that? Oh, that's right. You did. I think we should have a vote on this.
Yeah. Yeah. We did. It was in November. Donald Trump was not shy about what he wanted to do. We did have a vote on this. And these freaks lost. And what I can say is the more that you double down on this, the more that you triple down, the more that you quadruple down, the more that you go the opposite route to what I'm talking about, the worse that it's going to get for them. Because right now, Donald Trump is president. There's a thin majority in Congress, the House of Representatives. There's a thin majority in the Senate. The midterms are right around the corner. And while some people are saying, well, Republicans are going to lose the House. If you continue to push this stuff that is highly unpopular, I think what you're going to find is that majority is going to widen. And if the majority gets wide enough, maybe they'll start pushing towards the things that I'm talking about. God, wouldn't that be nice?
We'll see we'll see who's more of each group, huh? How about that's the issue? Third.
Talk to everyone else. Don't point us out. Do not look
Excuse me.
So the
excuse
whole
me.
audience is that direction.
Excuse.
No, this freak called out this parent in particular. The parent didn't like that, so they're articulating that. And then this person's like, well, I'm just talking about the audience in general. What a lying, deceptive, manipulative, disgusting sack of human garbage.
Excuse me. It's his time to talk, right?
Thank you.
Did you say her?
So if needed, we'd be happy to dig in to contact our coalition.
Thank you.
Yeah.
That's never really defined.
Yeah, so basically when this freak, this animal leaves, they all start clapping.
That's basically how it is.
That's disgusting. Unconscionable.
Please do reach out. It's transupfrontil.com. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yep.
Unconscionable.
And you can see all the people clapping for this. There's a lot of people that are happy about this. And so
Yeah, which basically puts the lie to what Asman was saying about this being a very tiny minority of people that make the trans community look bad. No, the trans community is bad, and it's those individuals who are good who get swept up in it, who unfortunately get lumped in. I feel bad for those individual trans people who are based and are cool. I've had a couple of those in my chat who are like, yeah, I'm trans, I don't agree with any of this. And, you know, who are against this group of people. I've said it before. If you're against these people, you're my brother in arms. That really is that simple. I've had trans people that have come to my chat and said, I'm against this completely. I actually feel bad for you. I mean, I feel bad for you for your condition, for your, you know, mental health issue. But I also feel bad for you because the majority of your community is disgusting. The majority of your community are left-wing weirdos like this. I would say probably 90 to 95% are like that person there. And then there's 5% that get swept up. They just want to be normal. I would say at the most charitable, I would say it's 80-20. The most charitable. I think it's closer to probably 90-10, 95-5. I think the vast majority of people, I would be happy to be proven wrong, but every time there's a situation that comes up, it seems like the perspective is that the trans community comes out and does something irredeemable and disgusting and reprehensible, and then there's almost no pushback within that same community. That's the perception that I get every time I look at this.
So what you have to do is observable. They have institute. And
so anyway, ladies and gentlemen, I really wanted to cover this topic. I know that there were people that were very, very interested in this. Yeah, that's my take on it. Unabridged, unadulterated. It is what it is. That's my opinion on it. Some people will disagree. Some people will say, well, you know, I don't agree on everything. It's perfectly fine. Leave a comment in the section below and let me know what you think. Let me know what your perspective on this is. I actually do enjoy the interaction and the feedback from the audience and getting their take, but that's honestly the way that I see it. I see this situation basically for what it is. You've got a group that is entirely morally degenerate. They're in a cult, and that cult is espousing and promoting things that are absolutely disgusting and should be stopped, should be criminalized, and culturally should be shamed on every level. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, that'll do it for today's video. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.